In the worlds of D&D, dungeons can have all manner of loot and treasure for adventurers to find, but the most prized are the magical items created long ago. In this video, I'm going to comb through the 5th edition Dungeon Master's Guide and pick my top 5 favorite magical items. By favorite, I don't mean the best. These are just cool to me as both a DM and a player, and I've changed my mind in the past, so this could change soon. I might even make another video about it. Anyways, let's get into it. Starting with number 5, the Staff of Power. Now, this thing is just sick. I've got a warlock in my game that would love to have this thing. This very rare staff could be found by a party as low as 11th level, which is kind of insane to me. The Staff of Power requires attunement by a sorcerer, warlock, or wizard. The staff can be wielded as a magic quarterstaff that grants a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with it. While holding it, you gain a +2 bonus to armor class, saving throws, and spell attacks. So it's a magical melee weapon, and then it starts getting cool. The staff has 20 charges for the following properties. First off, you get what's called a power strike. When you hit with a melee attack using the staff, you can expend 1 charge to deal an extra 1d6 force damage to the target. The spells that this staff has, though, are kind of insane. It includes spells like Cone of Cold, a 5th level Fireball, Globe of Invulnerability, and Hold Monster, as well as some other things. But this is the best part. There's a feature here called Retributive Strike. You can use an action to break the staff over your knee or against a solid surface, performing a retributive strike. The staff is destroyed and releases its remaining magic in an explosion that expands to fill a 30-foot radius sphere centered on it. You, the wielder, have a 50% chance to instantly travel to a random plane of existence, avoiding the explosion. So, there's that, but if you want to go full-on kamikaze, if you fail to avoid the effect, you take force damage equal to 16 times the number of charges in the staff. So let's say you're taking on a horde. Maybe it's a boss fight, a lot of minions around it coming at the party. You start drawing aggro, you start pulling the enemies towards you. You're using Globe of Invulnerability to keep yourself protected. There's 6 charges gone. The thing has 14 charges left. You know, now's the time. You had a good run. Your back's against the wall. All the chips are down. You take that staff, snap it over your knee. You lose that 50% chance, and you are just in the middle of this massive explosion. So you, the wielder, are taking 224 points of damage. That's why I'm saying, like, an 11th level party, an 11th level wizard is just a smear on the floor. Every other creature in the area must make a DC 17 Dex saving throw. On a failed save, a creature takes an amount of damage based on how far they are away from the point of origin, so the closest creatures still take 8 times the number of charges. So those nearby creatures take 112 points of damage from that just suicide bombing explosion. I love this thing so much. The design of it is so cool. It reminds me of Saruman's staff from The Lord of the Rings. Number 4, the Holy Avenger. I would think it's hard for most players to pick a favorite class, but if you ask me, mine would have to be a Paladin. No use wasting those smite slots for spells. And the Holy Avenger is the quintessential weapon for any questing Paladin. On top of taking their oath, I'm sure any low-level Paladin would want to have themselves a Holy Avenger. You gain a +3 bonus to attack and damage rolls with this magic weapon. When you hit a fiend or undead with it, that creature takes an extra 2d10 radiant damage. While you hold the drawn sword, it creates an aura in a 10-foot radius around you, and all creatures friendly to you in the aura have advantage on saving throws against spells and magical effects. If you have 17 or more levels in Paladin class, the radius of the aura increases to 30 feet. It might not be as cool or as powerful as, say, the Staff of Power. But it's so iconic to be gifted a weapon like this from your paladin's god. And it's still a +3 sword. It's also legendary, so it's not easy for any adventurer to get their hands on this, but it must be attuned by a paladin. Speaking of signature weapons, the next item is insanely metal for a bard. Number 3, the OLM Harp. Another legendary item, and this is actually under a category called an instrument of the bards. An instrument of the bards is an exquisite example of its kind, superior to an ordinary instrument in every way. 7 types of these instruments exist, each named after a legendary bard college. A creature that attempts to play the instrument without being attuned to it must succeed a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw or take 2d4 psychic damage. You can use an action to play the instrument and cast one of its spells. Once the instrument has been used to cast a spell, it can't be used to cast that spell again until the next dawn. The OLM Harp itself is legendary. It's the rarest of these instruments. All of these instruments are able to cast the spells Fly, Invisibility, Levitate, Protection from Good and Evil. But the OLM Harp is able to cast Confusion, Control Weather, and Firestorm. I don't know what your guys' opinion on bards. I love them. If your bard is really good at playing support, this is a fantastic thing for them to have, and they just bust out a crazy diddly like harp solo and just start raining fire on the enemies. It just goes to show the power of music moves people. Number 2, the Vorpal Sword. 'Twas Brillig and the slithy toes that gyre and gimble in the wave. All mimsy were the borogroves and the momraths outgrave. I so hope you guys recognize that poem. I love this weapon because it is so in the spirit of the source material. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through, the Vorpal blade went snicker snack. He left it dead, and with its head, he went galumphing back. So it's any sword that deals slashing damage. It's also legendary. You gain a +3 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon. In addition, the weapon ignores resistance to slashing. So it is crazy sharp and beautifully designed, by the way. When you attack a creature that has at least one head with this weapon, you roll a 20 on the attack. You cut off one of the creature's heads. The creature dies if it can't survive without its lost head. If the DM decides that creature's head is too big, it still ends up taking an extra 6d8 slashing damage. Oh, Frabjous Day, Kalu Kalay. Now, if only the Jabberwock was a monster with a stat block and 5e. So, we're getting down to the end of my list. Thought it'd be a good time here to mention some, honorable mentions, for lack of a better word. Just a couple weird ones. Sovereign Glue. I've heard people call this a useless or one of the worst magical items in the book, and I just don't think that your players are creative enough. If I were a trickster cleric and I had this, you know what I'd do? I would take a gold piece, I'd glue it on the ground in a big city, and just watch people try to pick it up. The Alchemy Jug. If any of you are fans of Critical Role, Vox Machina had an alchemy jug. Look, this thing creates a virtually unlimited amount of beer and mayonnaise. I'm all about it. And then there's the Robe of Useful Items. I threw this on here because it's kind of random. There are other weirder robes, but this one is definitely useful and a little absurd. It gives you patches that create things like daggers, a bullseye lantern, a 10-foot pole, which come in handy. Don't underestimate 10-foot poles. Adventurers, please. But the robe has also other patches that are kind of random, which includes things like an iron door, a riding horse, or 2 mastiffs. Once you cross a certain level in D&D, you start forgetting about all the mundane things in your backpack, which still come in handy, and this robe might be the best way to make use of those. And now, to my favorite Magical item. The deck of many things. The classic agent of chaos in any haversack, bag of holding. I've heard players and DMs decry this item as a game-ruining item. But no, this deck is amazing. It is a potential for drama and storytelling and dead characters. It's so insane. This is definitely one of those holdovers from older editions that, because it's not fun and sexy, I don't know what it is about it, but I freaking love it. If you don't know what this thing is, let me give you a description. Usually found in a box or pouch, this deck contains a number of cards made of ivory or vellum. Most of these decks have only 13 cards, but the rest have 22. Before you draw a card, you must declare how many cards you intend to draw, and then draw them randomly. Any cards drawn in excess of this number have no effect. Otherwise, as soon as you draw a card from the deck, its magic takes effect. You must draw each card no more than 1 hour after the previous draw. If you fail to draw the chosen number, the remaining number of cards fly from the deck on their own and take effect all at once. Once a card is drawn, it fades from existence. Unless the card is the Fool or the Jester, the card reappears in the deck, making it possible to draw the same card twice. Let's just see what's in it. Just to give you some examples, I'm gonna pull 3. I'm declaring the number. I'm pulling 3 cards from the deck of many things by random. I got Flames, Talons, and Void. The way this deck works is that it's kind of balanced. Half the cards are good, like extremely good. Half the cards are extremely bad. Flames. Focus. Thank you. A powerful devil becomes your enemy. The devil seeks your ruin and plagues your life, savoring your suffering before attempting to slay you. This enmity lasts until either you or the devil dies. So, imagine in game. Pluck the card. You don't know when it's going to happen. All of a sudden. Maybe it's in the middle of in a dungeon, crossing a bridge, surrounded by cobalt on either side. You can make it okay, but things are looking kind of tight. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a fucking devil appears in front of you and just has its sights set on you. You might have plucked that card months ago. Talons, next card. Oh no. Speaking of magical items, every magic item you wear or carry disintegrates. If you're lucky enough to have any artifacts, they aren't destroyed but do vanish. Oh my god. So those are 2 bad cards. Last, I got the Void card. This black card spells disaster. Your soul is drawn from your body and contained in an object, in a place of the DM's choice. 1 or more powerful beings guard the place. While your soul is trapped in this way, your body is incapacitated. The wish spell can't restore your soul, but the spell reveals the location of the object that holds it. You draw no more cards. That just escalated perfectly from bad to worse to awful. Essentially, you have a dead character, or you can do what Critical Role did. Roll a new character and go on a quest to save that party member. Critical Role, if you watch it, no, not really a spoiler, but they end up going to the plane of pandemonium. But it could be anywhere. It could even be in another world, another part of the multiverse. It could be right next door. I don't know. But that is my favorite magical item. There are hundreds of magical items that exist in Dungeons and Dragons, and not just in the Dungeon Master's Guide, but in all the supplemental materials and all the legacy books and editions before. I would love to keep making videos like this. If you guys like this, please let me know. What's your favorite magical item? How did Did your party end up with a deck of many things? How did that go? Tell me. And also, I might be able to be convinced to tell that deck of many things story that I have. In the meantime, though, guys, I've got lots of other stuff coming, not just D&D stuff, not just gaming stuff. Keep an eye out on the channel. Subscribe, of course. If you like this, hit that like button. All that stuff. I'm Ravel. This was a Geek Out of Place, and thank you so much for watching.